Hey everybody, it's Patrick. Welcome to practice. In our class today, we're going to work on releasing hip tension. So let's start in child's pose. So place the hands down, let the knees spread wide. Instead of doing your normal child's pose, tilt the tailbone up to the sky and then just push your hips back in space as much as you can. So it's a little bit of a blend of child's pose and also frog, right? The big toes are touching. The knees aren't as wide as they could possibly be. Again, your chest can be all the way to the floor if you have that range of motion, but really we're just looking for a nice long spine here. Tailbone slightly lifted, and you're gonna feel a lot more opening here than you would in your normal child's pose. Depending on the length of your spine, sometimes child's pose can, or the length of your torso in relation to the legs, sometimes you can escape the opening that you can create in child's pose. But here we're really eliminating that because we're allowing our body to find its natural range of motion and then beginning to explore the opportunity to release tension there. So take just another few breaths. And then go ahead and come forward onto hands and knees. Stack the shoulders on top of the wrists. If you need to warm up the wrists with a few circles, by all means, feel free. And then when the wrists are warmed up, tuck the toes, lift the knees off the ground, find plank pose, top of a push-up. Feel your core engaging, drive through the thumbs and grip your fingers just a little bit. Feel activity in the glutes. Take an inhale here. Hold, or if you want to take 2 push-ups, just because you like to do that to warm up, feel free. Lower and rise, lower and rise. Then go ahead and push your hips all the way up and back, downward facing dog. When you get into your downward facing dog, be animalistic a little bit here. Bend the knees, shake the hips around, kind of notice if there's any tension in your side body. Allow your spine to get longer. That's really one of our biggest purposes in downward facing dog. Often so many people think about grounding the heels, but what you want to think about doing is lengthening your spine to the best of your capability. Lift through the inner shoulder just a bit, and then inhale, lift the right leg up to the sky. On the exhale, step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. As it lands, lower the left knee down, pull the chest through, lift the heart up. On your exhale, push your hips back in space, straightening the right leg, fold to the middle. Bend the right knee, look forward. Step the left foot to the outside of the left hand. Sit the hips low, we call this position active squat. Reach the hands forward, pull the knees apart. Exhale, straighten legs, hands to heart. Inhale, reach the hands all the way up. Exhale, sit the hips all the way down. Inhale, hands to floor, elbows bend. Step the left foot back. Follow it with the right, top of a push-up. Take the inhale here. On the exhale, lower and rise. Drop the knees if you need to. And then knees and forearms drop, look forward. Inhale, pull the body through upward facing dog or low cobra, curving the chest out. And exhale, roll all the way back to downward facing dog. Inhale, the left leg lifts. On your exhale, step the left foot to the outside of the left hand. Drop the right knee down, pull the chest forward, lift the heart as much as you can. Lift the right knee and push your hips back in space, straightening the left leg, getting into your hamstring just a bit. And then bend your left knee. Step the right foot to the outside of the right hand, active squat. Reach your hands forward. Exhale, straighten legs, hands to heart. Inhale, reach your hands all the way up. Exhale, sit the hips down. Inhale, hands to the floor. Exhale, step the right foot back, followed by the left, top of a push-up. Take the inhale here to hold, or on your exhale, lower and rise. Drop knees and forearms to the floor, look forward. Inhale, pull the body through upward facing dog or low cobra. And exhale all the way back to downward facing dog. Push into the thumbs, lift the hips nice and high. You can step or float into the active squat this time, your choice. So look long, lift heels, bend knees. Bottom of your exhale, step or float feet to outside of hands. Inhale, rise into your active squat. Exhale, straighten legs. Inhale, reach the hands all the way up. Exhale, sit the hips all the way down. Inhale, hands to floor, elbows bent. On your exhale, vinyasa, or your journey back to downward facing dog. One more round just like that. Push through the thumbs. If you step forward first with one foot, do it with the other foot this time. Create that symmetry. Look long, lift heels, bend knees. Bottom of your exhale, step or float feet to outside of hands. Control the landing with as much style and grace as you possibly can. And then when you get there, inhale, rise into your active squat. Notice the depth of your position. Exhale, straighten legs, hands to heart. Inhale, reach the hands all the way up. Exhale, sit the hips down. Inhale, hands to floor, elbows bent. Your vinyasa, or journey back to downward facing dog. And again, this is just a little bit of flow, a little bit of awakening yoga, Surya A, to warm up the body, preparing us to do a lot of these nice hip releasing poses. The first one will be upright pigeon, so lift the right leg up and then bring the right shin forward to be parallel with the top of the mat. Let the heart get nice and tall. Press your palms or fingertips into the floor and just allow yourself to marinate here. Nice lifted position, as long as possible from your left knee up through your left shoulder, and then allow your right hip to move back in space slightly. Stay with your breath. For some of you, I know this pose is really tough. If it is, feel free to wiggle the left knee slightly off the mat, slightly wider to the left side. That will help create just a bit more space. Breathing in here. Take an inhale. And then from here, push the right shin down, push the left foot down. Inhale, reach your hands up to the sky. Get as long as possible. Spin the pinkies towards the middle. Take one more inhale here. On your exhale, pull the elbows towards the hips, create fists. Push the fists together behind your back. Keep the heart lifted, take the inhale. On the exhale, try and lower your chin or your forehead to tap the floor. Inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. Inhale, rise. Two more, exhale, lower. Inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. Inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. And this time we'll hold. So you can adjust the position to make it deeper. One thing I like to do is push my left hand into my right foot, tuck the left toes, lift the right knee off the ground, pull the right hip back in space, and then melt the chest down towards the floor. Try and stay as long in the spine as possible. Breathing in here. We just worked through a little bit of our active range of motion on those lifts and lowers. I'm sure you felt that a little bit. So enjoy this passive stretch. Breathe into it a little bit. Find a touch more depth. Trying to alleviate tension. We all carry a lot of tension in the hips. So the more that you can find a little bit of release in the side body and the outer edge of the right leg here, the nicer the rest of moving around in your life will be. Move a lot more freely, move with a lot less restriction, a lot less pain. That's really a lot of the goal of this practice, right? Sometimes it's to challenge ourselves, and sometimes it's just to feel better. Go ahead and place the hands on the ground, lift the chest up and away, tuck the left toes, sweep the right leg up to the sky, three-legged dog. Take the inhale here. On the exhale, right foot comes to the right thumb, Virabhadrasana 2, rising up, opening into your warrior 2. Nice long stance. So we just created all of that space. Let your body move into it. So we're putting some strength and stability into those areas. Gaze over the right fingers. Tap into your drishti. Find your focus. Be steady with your breath. Trust yourself. Root into your foundations in your feet. And then come into side angle pose. Right elbow can find the knee. Or right hand can find the floor inside of the right foot. Stretch the left arm up and overhead. Another variation too, if you're already feeling really open, would be fingertips in front of right toes. Lift through your right side waist. Be steady here. And slowly bring your left hand to the floor. Bring your right hand to the outside of your right foot. Pivot your right toes to the top left corner. And then sit your right hip down, skandasana, or your variation of, into your front right leg. So the leg that was bent is staying bent here. Breathe in. And it doesn't matter the aesthetics of the pose exactly. You're trying to allow yourself to explore this depth in a way that feels good to you. Take one more inhale. On your exhale, bring your left hand to the inside of the right foot and then roll all the way to the outer edge of your left foot, outer edge of your right foot. Reach your right hand up to the sky. Longest possible stretch there, and then reach the right arm up and overhead. Feel almost like a rainbow from your fingertips through the outer line of the right shoulder, the right rib cage, the right hip, and down towards the left heel. Then from here, gently drop your left knee to the floor. Naturally, your right knee stacks on top of your left for Gomukhasana legs. Let your right hand reach towards the back of the mat, and then lean your left arm up and overhead. Feel a nice opening in your left side body here. This is one of my favorite poses right now. Practice all the time. I just love using the right leg to pin the left leg down, and then lean to create a nice deep side body stretch. If it's natural for you, you can drop the right forearm towards the floor. But either way, keep spinning the right rib cage towards the right leg, so that it can sit underneath the left rib cage. Go ahead and inhale, rise back to center. Our next pose is going to be wide leg forward fold. You can get there without your hands. On this side, I'll show using your hands, and on the second side, I will show without the hands. Place the hands behind you, and then just roll onto the left shin, all toes pointing to the left side, and your chest drops towards the left side of your mat. If you practice this class a number of times, try to use no hands as often as possible. It's one of the most helpful things for our bodies, is using the proper foundations to move from place to place. And that's just one of them. How can you get up off the ground without using your hands? It's a fun little journey. Take a few more breaths here. You can keep this spine long or let your head hang heavy. Any variation of the wide leg forward fold that feels good to you, I strongly recommend tapping into here. Slowly walk your hands forward towards your front right foot. Bend the knee deeply. Walk your hands out just a little bit further and creep the hands out as long as possible. If it feels good to you, drop the left knee to the floor. It may even feel nice to drop the forearms down to the floor. Settle yourself in. Keep the chest nice and long. Breathe in here. Let your body marinate towards the floor. Take a few more breaths here. And if you want, you can keep your left hand or left forearm where it is. Bend your left knee. Reach back and catch your right foot. Driving the left heel towards the butt. Keep your chest square to the floor. Keep your hips square to the floor. Just 2 more breaths. And exhale, release. Place the hands down on the ground. Right leg lifts all the way up to the sky, 3-legged dog. Lift up through the right foot, bend the knee, roll to the outer edge of the left foot, set the right foot down behind the knee. Wild Thing pose, driving through the hips. Also modified side plank, great option here as well. But really lift through the front of the right hip. Feel the opportunity to relieve tension there, to get a little bit longer, a little bit looser. And exhale, release. Downward facing dog. Side 2. Inhale, lift the left leg up. And exhale, left shin comes forward. Pigeon pose. Stay nice and upright here. Feel the chest lifting. Right hip anchoring down. And again, just try and get tall. Feel like you're growing out of your hips. Like your hips are the base of a house plant, the pot that the plant that's growing out of, right? You are the plant. Your hips are the pot. You're allowing yourself just a little bit more length, a little bit more elevation. Let your body marinate here, getting comfortable. And again, if you need a little bit less pressure, you can always wiggle the right foot wider to the right side, if that's what feels good to you. Another thing you could do here is push the hands down a little bit more. The more you use the hands, the more you're taking pressure out of your other points of contact with the ground, which would be the left shin and various parts of the right leg. Stay here, or inhale, reach your hands all the way up to the sky. Get as long and as lifted as possible. Stretch through the pinkies, lift the heart. And then bring the hands to fists, pull elbows down towards the hips. Bring the fists to push together behind the back. Time for these chin dips towards the floor. So lean out with your chin. Chin or forehead comes to the ground or as close as possible. And inhale, rise. Lower on your exhale. Feel yourself emptying. Inhale, rise. 2 more. Lower. Lift. Lower. Lift. This time we lower and hold. So as you get to your lowest position, let yourself get comfortable. Try and work the left knee to be wider than the left hip. Allow the right hip to get heavier towards the floor. Let your spine lengthen. Breathe into your space. And again, you can have your chest resting on the floor here. You can be a bit more upright like I am. There's nothing here that's really right or wrong. You're just searching for feeling for what you're or for where you are at today, right? So some days I'm really melted down towards the floor. That's where I'm feeling the most benefit from the posture. And other days I feel a bit nicer being more upright, okay? And it's all random, right? Maybe depends on what you did the last 2 days. Maybe it depends on how much you've been practicing, right? Maybe you just have no relation to anything at all. And so finding and being inquisitive is a big part of this practice. So take the time here to really acknowledge, oh, that's my spot today. That feels good. Maybe dropping down, letting the spine get long is a better place to be. Or maybe being upright or completely relaxed, flat on the floor is better. Okay? Don't tie yourself to the aesthetics. Instead, focus on feeling, focus on creating a little bit of freedom in your own body. One more inhale here. And then go ahead and place the hands down in front of the left shin. Tuck the right toes. 3-legged dog. Lift the left leg all the way up and back in space. Get as long as possible. And then step the left foot up to the left thumb. As it lands, drop the right heel down. Inhale, rise into your Virabhadrasana 2. Open the arms. Stretch through the fingers. Drive through the outer edge of the right foot. Lift the lower belly. Find more length here. Breathing in. Take one more inhale. On your exhale, Parsva Konasana, side angle pose. So left elbow on the knee. Maybe left fingers to the floor. Inside of left ankle or in front of left toes. Stretch your right arm overhead for our purposes today. Be steady with your breath, holding your space. One more inhale. On your exhale, bring your right hand to the floor. Pivot your left toes to the front right corner of the mat and sit into your skandasana. And just depending on the way your hips are built, maybe you don't need your hands at all here, right? So by the way, what I mean by the way your hips are built, I mean the way your left femur plugs into your left hip socket. For some of us, there's a lot of space, there's a lot of movement there. For others of us, you're kind of running into a bone-on-bone compression, which limits your movement. So you just want to find the spot and the way that you can access depth here. Sometimes it's with a lot of support, sometimes it's with a little bit of support. It's good either way. Stay with your breath. And slowly bring your right hand to the ground. Roll to the outer edge of both feet, all toes pointing left. Inhale, allow your left arm to elevate up and over your head. Big twist here. Sweep the right hip underneath you. Stretch through the left fingers. Take one more inhale. Hold here. Really drive through the right hand. Feel the energy and the effort. And on your exhale, gently lower your right knee to the floor. Naturally, let the left knee stack on top of the right leg. Left hand reaches towards the back of the mat, and then big reach, right arm overhead. Gaze up towards your right fingers. Again, if it's natural for you to try and drop the left forearm towards the floor, feel free, but just allow yourself to marinate in this space. Find a softness with your inhales and your exhales. Just 2 more breaths here. Return to center. So you can use your hands again if you want, or if you're working on getting up without your hands, point your right toes towards the back of the mat. Then you can roll onto your right shin, and naturally it journeys you all the way up and into your wide leg forward fold. It takes a little bit of practice to get that perfect, but feels really nice and helps you create an active coordination in your legs. And let your spine be long here in the wide leg forward fold. Maybe you catch the big toes and pull down. If you feel the right choice for you is to dive deep into your hamstrings, which it very much could be. Breathing in, you have about 3 more breaths. If you like an inversion, feel free to take it. And exhale, release. Walk your hands forward to your front left foot. All toes point straight ahead. Creep your hands out as long as possible. Get as low and deep into this lizard lunge as you can. And then find the softness. Drop your right knee down. Maybe drop your forearms down to the floor. Breathe easy. Try and keep your gaze slightly out in front of you. Oftentimes it's easy to take the gaze back towards the body, towards your right knee. But it shortens your posture. We always want to work on having a good posture as much as possible, right? The way you present yourself into the world, our body language is so important, especially when it comes to communication with others. So much of it is nonverbal. Feel free to stay where you are or reach your left hand back. Bend your right knee, catch the right ankle, the right foot, the inner arch. Keep your chest square to the floor. Lean the heart slightly out in front of you. Take 2 more breaths here. And exhale, release. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Lift the left leg up to the sky. Modified side plank, wild thing, any variation where the left toes land behind the right leg and you're driving the left hip up. Push down. Feel as much extension in the left hip as possible. Open the heart. Breathe in here for just 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Close everything off. Downward facing dog becomes child's pose. Take the same child's pose we took in the beginning. Maybe you notice the difference in how your body feels physically, mentally, spiritually. Maybe you're a bit more connected with yourself, a bit more connected with your body. Hopefully you feel a lot better physically. You feel a little bit more loose, a little bit more tapped in, a little bit more coordinated. Hopefully there's less tension in your physical frame. As always, thank you so much for joining me for this practice. I hope to see you on the mat again soon. Peace.